Chosen one, a holy upgrade is coming your wallet. God decided. You didn't arrive here by accident. There is a reason this message is finding you now, at a moment when your thoughts about money, security, and provision have been quietly evolving. What is coming is not just an increase, not just a solution, not just relief. It is an upgrade, one that carries intention, timing, and purpose. This shift is not about greed or excess. It is about alignment. It is about correction. It is about provision meeting responsibility. A holy upgrade does not arrive randomly. It arrives when capacity has been built, when perspective has matured, and when the weight of more can be carried without distortion. Before going any further, stay with this message until the very end, because every part connects. And write your warmest wishes in the comments along with the number 144, not as a habit, not as superstition, but as a focused act of intention and openness, a way of aligning your awareness with what is being activated in this chapter of your life. Chosen one, press the hype button, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's start. Now understand this clearly. This upgrade is not about sudden luck or reckless gain. It is about recalibration. For a long time, your financial life may have felt out of sync with your effort, your integrity, or your endurance. You may have done enough and still felt behind. That imbalance was not ignored. It was observed. A holy upgrade is not rushed because it must arrive cleanly, without pulling you back into old patterns of stress, fear, or over-attachment. You may notice that your relationship with money has already been changing internally. Less desperation, less obsession, more clarity, more restraint. These changes are not accidental. They are preparation. When provision increases without inner readiness, it creates instability. When readiness comes first, provision strengthens life instead of complicating it. This upgrade is also about dignity, about not having to shrink your needs or explain your limits, about having the ability to choose wisely instead of urgently. When financial pressure eases, discernment sharpens. You are being positioned for choices that are guided by values, not fear. There were seasons when scarcity taught you discipline, when limitation taught you creativity, when delay taught you patience. Those lessons were not punishments, they were training. What is being decided now builds on that foundation. Nothing you learned will be wasted. In fact, it will protect what comes next. You may feel a quiet shift in confidence, not arrogance, not entitlement, but steadiness, the kind that allows you to receive without guilt and manage without anxiety. This steadiness is necessary because this upgrade is meant to last, not spike and disappear. Pay attention to how your priorities are clarifying. What once felt urgent may no longer demand your energy. What once felt impossible may now feel manageable. This is not coincidence. Financial alignment affects perception long before it affects numbers. This upgrade is not meant to separate you from humility or purpose. It is meant to support them. True provision supports generosity, responsibility, and peace. It does not isolate you. It grounds you. You do not need to announce this shift prematurely. Some things strengthen in privacy. Let the change integrate before you label it. Let the results speak quietly over time. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about being supported as who you already are. What is being decided now carries intention. And this is only the beginning of the adjustment. As this adjustment begins to take shape, it's important to understand that a holy upgrade does not arrive loudly. It doesn't announce itself with urgency or demand immediate action. Instead, it settles in quietly, changing how you relate to security, choice, and responsibility. You may already sense that something is different, not externally yet, but internally. That difference is the first sign that alignment has begun. This upgrade is not about indulgence. It is about restoration. Restoration of balance between effort and return, between giving and receiving, between responsibility and support. For a long time, you may have carried more than your share, financially, emotionally, mentally, and normalized it. What is being corrected now is not just numbers, but weight. The weight you've been carrying alone. You may notice that your thinking around money is becoming calmer, less reactive, less emotionally charged. This calm is not indifference. It is clarity. When fear loosens its grip, perception sharpens. You begin to see options where before you only saw obstacles. This shift in perception is part of the upgrade itself. Resources follow clarity. There is also a refinement happening in how you make decisions. You are less likely to say yes out of pressure, less likely to overextend to avoid discomfort. This restraint is not limitation, it is wisdom. A holy upgrade requires boundaries, because what is entrusted must be protected from misuse, including self-misuse. You may reflect on past moments when increase came too quickly, or responsibility arrived before support. Those experiences taught you caution. They also taught you humility. Nothing from those seasons is lost. The discernment you gained then is what allows this upgrade to arrive now without destabilizing you. This is also a season of correction in how you value your time. You may feel less willing to trade peace for short-term gain, less willing to exhaust yourself to maintain appearances. This shift signals maturity. Sustainable provision requires sustainable rhythms. Burnout does not glorify success. It undermines it. You are being repositioned for stability, not spectacle. For consistency, not spikes. This means the changes may appear gradual, but they will be firm. What builds slowly, builds deeply. You are stepping into something that is meant to support your life, not dominate it. There may be moments when old scarcity thoughts surface, reminders of times when resources felt fragile or uncertain. When that happens, pause. Those thoughts belong to an earlier version of you. They no longer define your reality. Awareness weakens their influence. Trust strengthens the new pattern forming. This upgrade also invites responsibility, but not burden. Responsibility here means stewardship, the ability to manage wisely, to plan thoughtfully, to give generously without depletion. You are not being asked to become rigid or fearful. You are being trusted to act with discernment. Pay attention to the quiet confirmations, the subtle sense of relief, the feeling that pressure is easing even before circumstances fully change. These signals matter. They indicate that alignment is already working beneath the surface. You are not stepping into excess. You are stepping into sufficiency with dignity. And this recalibration is only beginning to reveal its shape. As this recalibration continues, you may begin to notice that your sense of financial safety is becoming less dependent on constant control. You are no longer checking, calculating, or bracing as often. This does not mean you are careless. It means trust is beginning to replace tension. A holy upgrade changes how you carry responsibility. It does not remove awareness, but it removes fear as the primary driver. You may feel a quiet confidence forming around your ability to manage what is coming. Not because you suddenly know every answer, but because you recognize your capacity has grown. You have already navigated seasons of uncertainty, limitation, and restraint. That experience did not weaken you. It refined you. What is being released now matches that refinement. This upgrade is also about timing. There were moments in the past when an increase would have amplified stress instead of relieving it. You were not being denied then. You were being protected. Provision that arrives before stability often creates pressure. Provision that arrives after preparation creates peace. You are now in the latter position. You may also notice that your definition of wealth is changing. It is becoming less about accumulation and more about margin. Margin to breathe, to choose, to respond rather than react. This shift matters. Margin creates wisdom. It allows you to act thoughtfully instead of urgently. The upgrade supports this kind of living. There is a correction happening in how effort is rewarded. You are moving away from cycles where output was high, but return was inconsistent. What's forming now carries balance. Not effortless gain, but fair exchange. Not unpredictability, but steadiness. This balance is intentional. You might find yourself becoming more discerning with opportunities. Not everything that promises gain will feel aligned. You are learning to distinguish between what looks profitable and what is sustainable. Sustainability protects peace. Peace protects judgment. This discernment is part of what qualifies you for the upgrade. There may be moments where gratitude surfaces unexpectedly, not because everything is perfect, but because pressure has eased. That easing is meaningful. It signals that support is integrating. Gratitude here is not obligation, it is recognition. You are also being released from the belief that struggle is proof of worth. That belief served you in earlier seasons, but it cannot accompany you forward. Worth does not increase through exhaustion. Responsibility does not require depletion. This truth is becoming clearer now. Allow yourself to adjust without guilt. Receiving stability may feel unfamiliar at first. You do not need to justify it or rush to explain it. Let it become normal. Normalization is how upgrades settle into daily life. This shift is not dramatic on the surface, but it is structural. And structures determine what can be held long-term. What is being adjusted now is preparing you for consistency, clarity, and peace around provision. As this structural change continues to take root, you may begin to notice that your emotional relationship with money is becoming less charged. Situations that once triggered anxiety, urgency, or self-doubt now invite reflection instead. This emotional neutrality is not detachment, it is mastery. When finances no longer control your nervous system, you gain access to clearer judgment and steadier decision-making. This is one of the quiet markers of a holy upgrade. You may also sense that your patience around outcomes has deepened. You are no longer rushing timelines or forcing solutions simply to relieve discomfort. You understand now that pressure-driven decisions often create more complexity later. The steadiness you are developing allows results to arrive in ways that are cleaner, more sustainable, and better aligned with your values. There is also a refinement happening in how you assess risk. You are neither reckless nor overly cautious. Instead, you are learning discernment, the ability to evaluate opportunities without fear distorting perception. This discernment is essential because increased provision requires wisdom to preserve it. What is being entrusted to you is meant to be stewarded, not gambled. You may notice that your sense of self-worth is becoming less entangled with financial performance. Success no longer defines your identity, and setbacks no longer diminish it. This separation is crucial. When worth is stable, finances become a tool rather than a measure of value. This shift protects both your peace and your progress. There may be moments when you look back at earlier seasons and recognize how much effort you expended simply to stay afloat. That recognition is not meant to create bitterness. It is meant to highlight growth. You survived periods that required endurance. Now, you are entering a phase that rewards wisdom. Endurance taught you strength. Wisdom will teach you sustainability. You are also becoming more selective with commitments that involve your time and energy. You understand now that not every opportunity deserves access to you, even if it promises financial gain. Alignment matters. When choices align with your values, outcomes tend to support rather than strain your life. This selectivity is not limitation, it is clarity. As this upgrade integrates, you may feel an increased sense of order in your life. Systems feel easier to maintain. Planning feels constructive rather than overwhelming. This order is not rigid. It is supportive. It creates space for rest, creativity, and responsiveness. Stability allows flexibility, not the other way around. You may also experience a quiet sense of relief that you don't need to prove anything anymore. You are not chasing legitimacy. You are living it. This confidence is calm, not performative. It allows you to move forward without comparison or urgency. Remember that this upgrade is not designed to isolate you from humility or compassion. It is meant to support them. When pressure lifts, generosity becomes more natural. When fear recedes, clarity expands. Provision, when aligned, strengthens character rather than distorting it. What is happening now is not a sudden windfall. It is a foundation being reinforced, and that foundation is preparing you to hold more, with steadiness, discernment, and peace. As this foundation continues to strengthen, you may begin to notice that your sense of trust around provision is becoming more embodied. It's no longer something you tell yourself to believe. It's something you feel in how you move, decide, and respond. You are less guarded, less braced. This does not mean you are careless. It means you are no longer living in anticipation of loss. That shift alone changes how resources flow. You may also find that your patience has taken on a different quality. It is no longer passive or heavy. It feels grounded, confident, and aware. You are not waiting because you have no choice. You are waiting because you understand timing. Timing preserves integrity. What arrives at the right moment arrives whole. This understanding protects you from forcing outcomes that would later require repair. There is a deeper clarity forming around what enough truly means for you. Enough is no longer survival. It is margin. It is the ability to rest without fear, to plan without stress, to give without depletion. This clarity reshapes your goals. You are no longer chasing excess to compensate for past lack. You are building sufficiency that supports peace. You may notice that your habits are adjusting naturally, not through discipline alone, but through awareness. Spending feels more intentional. Saving feels more purposeful. Decisions feel cleaner. This is not restriction. It is alignment. When values and behavior match, financial life becomes simpler instead of heavier. There may be moments when you realize how much mental energy scarcity once consumed, how many decisions were shaped by fear rather than wisdom. That realization is not meant to shame you. It is meant to free you. You are no longer required to operate from those patterns. Awareness loosens their grip. You are also developing a stronger sense of stewardship. Stewardship is not control. It is care. It means managing what you have with respect, foresight, and balance. This mindset allows provision to expand without overwhelming you. What is treated with care tends to grow steadily. You may feel a subtle increase in generosity, not impulsive giving, but thoughtful sharing. Generosity that does not threaten your stability because it flows from sufficiency rather than guilt. This kind of generosity reinforces trust. It reminds you that provision is not fragile. As this upgrade continues to integrate, you may feel less need to explain your financial choices to others. You trust your judgment. You understand your priorities. This self-trust creates calm. Calm supports clarity. Clarity supports wise action. There is also a growing sense of dignity in how you relate to money. You no longer negotiate your worth. You no longer accept arrangements that drain you to sustain appearances. This dignity aligns you with opportunities that honor mutual value rather than imbalance. This phase is not about acceleration. It is about stabilization. Stabilization turns increase into continuity, and continuity is what transforms provision into something that truly supports your life. As this chapter reaches a point of completion, you may begin to recognize that what has changed most is not the numbers themselves, but the way you stand in relation to them. Money no longer feels like something that defines you, threatens you, or constantly demands your attention. It has taken its proper place as a tool, not a master. This shift is subtle, but it is one of the clearest signs that the upgrade has fully integrated. You are no longer operating from urgency. Decisions are made with clarity instead of pressure. You don't rush to fix, prove, or secure. You act when it makes sense, and you wait when it is wise. This balance is not accidental. It is the result of trust becoming lived experience rather than abstract belief. You may notice that your nervous system feels calmer around financial matters. Conversations, planning, and responsibilities no longer trigger the same internal tension. This calm is not apathy, it is confidence. When fear is removed from the equation, intelligence can lead. This allows you to respond to challenges without losing stability. There is also a deeper sense of ownership forming. Ownership not just of resources, but of your direction. You understand that provision is now supporting your life rather than consuming it. This allows you to think more clearly about purpose, contribution, and long-term impact. Stability creates room for meaning. You may feel a quiet gratitude that does not fluctuate with circumstances. Not excitement that rises and falls, but appreciation that remains steady. This gratitude is rooted in recognition. Recognition that you are no longer carrying everything alone, that support has become consistent, that the pressure has eased in ways you can feel daily. You are also becoming more comfortable receiving without suspicion. You no longer search for hidden costs or anticipate loss when things go well. You allow good things to be good. This openness keeps flow uninterrupted. When receiving is clean, continuity strengthens. There may be moments when you look back and realize how much has changed without dramatic announcements. The absence of chaos did not mean the absence of movement. The most important shifts happened quietly, restructuring your inner relationship with security before touching anything external. That order now reflects outwardly. You are also becoming more comfortable with simplicity. You don't need constant stimulation or affirmation to feel secure. Your confidence rests in steadiness, not intensity. This simplicity is not reduction, it is refinement. It allows what truly matters to stand out clearly. This holy upgrade was never meant to elevate you above others or pull you away from humility. It was meant to restore balance, to support responsibility, to remove unnecessary strain so you could live with clarity and peace. You are not stepping into excess. You are stepping into alignment. And what has been decided is now established, quietly, firmly, and in a way that will support you moving forward. This is not a temporary change. It is a new foundation. As you move forward from this new foundation, you may begin to notice that your sense of security no longer fluctuates with small changes or temporary uncertainty. You are not shaken by minor shifts, delays, or adjustments. This steadiness comes from knowing that what supports you now is not fragile. It does not depend on perfect conditions or constant effort. It is anchored. You may also realize that your attention has shifted away from constant monitoring and toward intentional living. You are less preoccupied with tracking, comparing, or anticipating outcomes. Instead, your focus naturally moves toward how you use what you have, your time, your energy, your resources. This shift marks a deep internal upgrade. When survival thinking fades, purpose thinking emerges. There is a growing confidence in your ability to navigate the future without anxiety. Not because you believe nothing will ever change, but because you trust your capacity to adapt wisely. You have learned that stability is not the absence of challenge. It is the ability to remain grounded while responding to it. That understanding now lives in you. You may notice that your decisions feel cleaner. There is less inner debate, less second-guessing, less need to seek reassurance. You weigh options, choose thoughtfully, and move on. This clarity saves energy. It also protects momentum. When choices are made from alignment, they don't drain you afterward. Your relationship with responsibility continues to mature. Responsibility no longer feels like weight or pressure. It feels like ownership. Ownership gives you agency. It allows you to shape your circumstances rather than react to them. This sense of agency reinforces confidence and keeps fear from regaining influence. You may also experience a quiet strengthening of boundaries. You are clearer about what you will and will not accept, financially and otherwise. These boundaries are not rigid or defensive. They are calm and consistent. They signal self-respect. Self-respect attracts situations that mirror it. There is also a noticeable shift in how you experience rest. Rest no longer feels like a risk or a reward that must be earned through exhaustion. It feels like maintenance, necessary, responsible. This reframing allows you to sustain progress without burning out. Sustainability is one of the most valuable outcomes of this upgrade. You may find that generosity flows more naturally now. Not generosity driven by guilt or obligation, but generosity rooted in stability. When giving does not threaten your foundation, it becomes a genuine expression rather than a sacrifice. This reinforces trust in provision rather than fear of loss. As this chapter continues, you may feel less compelled to define success for others or measure yourself against external standards. Your definition of success has become personal, grounded, and realistic. It reflects what you value, not what impresses. This autonomy keeps you aligned. What is unfolding now is not dramatic, but it is decisive. It is shaping how you will live moving forward, how you will choose, how you will respond, how you will build. You are no longer navigating provision as a test. You are living within it as support. And this support will continue to reveal its strength through consistency, clarity, and peace. As this phase continues to unfold, you may begin to sense that your inner pace has slowed in a healthy way. Not from lack of momentum, but from confidence. You are no longer rushing to get ahead of life or bracing for it to fall apart. You are moving at a pace that allows you to notice what matters, respond thoughtfully, and remain present in your own experience. This pacing is a sign of integration. When support is real, urgency fades. You may also notice that your perspective on progress has matured. Progress is no longer measured only by visible gains or immediate results. You recognize it in consistency, in peace of mind, in the ability to make choices without fear distorting them. These quieter indicators matter more than dramatic moments because they reveal stability rather than fluctuation. There is a growing ease in how you hold responsibility. You are not overwhelmed by it, nor are you avoiding it. You approach it with balance. This balance allows you to plan without stress and act without overextension. You are learning how to carry more without feeling burdened, because what you carry is now supported. You may find that your internal dialogue has become more encouraging and less demanding. Where there was once pressure to perform or prove, there is now permission to grow steadily. This shift changes how you experience challenges. Instead of interpreting them as threats, you see them as points of adjustment. Adjustment does not mean failure. It means refinement. You are also becoming more comfortable with the idea that stability does not eliminate movement. It gives it direction. You are still evolving, still learning, still expanding, but without chaos driving the process. This form of growth feels grounded. It builds on what already exists, rather than constantly tearing things down to start over. There may be moments when you recognize how differently you respond to situations that once triggered anxiety. You pause, you breathe, you choose. This pause is powerful. It interrupts old patterns and creates space for wiser responses. The ability to pause without fear is one of the clearest markers of internal security. You may also notice that your goals feel more realistic and more aligned. You are no longer chasing extremes to compensate for past lack. You are building steadily toward a life that feels sustainable and true to you. This realism does not limit you. It protects you from burnout and disappointment. Your sense of worth continues to detach from constant productivity. You no longer believe you must always be doing more to deserve what you have. This belief creates rest without guilt and action without pressure. Both are necessary for long-term well-being. As this upgrade continues to settle, trust that what feels simple now is actually strong. Simplicity is not the absence of depth. It is the result of clarity. When unnecessary strain falls away, what remains is solid. You are not losing momentum. You are gaining stability. And stability is what allows growth to continue without collapse, fear, or exhaustion. As this chapter moves toward completion, you may begin to understand that what has truly changed is the way you relate to provision itself. It no longer feels distant, unpredictable, or conditional. It feels present, reliable, integrated into your life rather than hovering over it. This is the quiet result of a holy upgrade, when support stops feeling external and becomes something you live from. You are no longer measuring safety by constant reassurance or visible excess. You recognize it in consistency, in calm decision-making, in the absence of constant mental strain. This form of security does not announce itself loudly, but it holds firmly. It allows you to move through life without bracing for loss or preparing for disappointment. There is also a deeper sense of coherence now. Your values, choices, and resources are no longer in conflict. What you believe aligns more naturally with how you live. This alignment reduces friction and restores energy. When inner conflict fades, clarity expands. When clarity expands, direction becomes easier to follow. You may notice that your confidence has settled into something quieter and more enduring. It doesn't rise and fall with circumstances. It exists because you trust your foundation, you trust your discernment, you trust that what supports you is not fragile. This confidence allows you to engage fully with life, without needing to control every outcome. From this place of trust, you move forward with openness rather than resistance, allowing life to meet you without force.